Hey everybody, welcome back to the Spinner Rack. I'm here with my boy PD. Pound it out to the people, PD. So we're talking about just general comic book news, and one of the biggest things that came out now is, of course, our friend Crisis. Crisis has been...
But we're not talking about Crisis. We talked about Crisis before, and I'm not I don't know everything. I've watched a couple episodes of Supergirl, so I can't talk, but we can talk Arrowverse and CW if you want.
We're going to talk about Arrowverse and the impact that some of it's had. We're not going to go into deep, but I just want to...
Here's the impact. Look at all the characters that
all the characters that they have, and we got to just, this is the finale of Arrow that just happened, and we want to just raise our cell phones up, please.
Oh God.
And light it up, please, in support. Light it up.
Put your lighters up.
Light it up. Bye-bye Arrowverse. Bye-bye Arrow.
It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday. And then I'll tell we'll meet tomorrow and go have all right, that's enough.
Put that on TikTok.
It's so hard to say goodbye to yesterday.
So listen, this was like probably one of the biggest shows out there. It spawned quite a few different shows that we can see.
Yes.
From Flash,
Universe,
Supergirl. We also have Black Lightning. And it brought, the great thing about the show is that it brought in Arrow was able to, and this universe was able to bring in characters from the original Smallville and the original Flash.
They had Wild Dog in there.
Yeah,
They had Ragman.
They still
all that stuff.
The thing is and the Canaries and stuff. And so we give credit to credit's due. It's introduced to a whole new universe, a new group of people, a younger audience, because CW tends to skew female and younger, and they brought a lot of people who haven't been introduced to many of these different comic concepts and stuff like that. Which I think, if DC does the right job, it would help to fuel their movies and stuff. Marvel has been a huge hit on the movies, the big screen, while DC has done very well on the small screen. Yeah. And I give them credit. They've tackled some of the stuff. Hey, they even have the Green Lantern. Now, I think Greg Berlanti and Mark Guggenheim, the two guys, the producers and writers of the show, they did the Green Lantern movie, which is now part of the whole canon, which is crazy, when you think about it.
Well, wait a second. Were you talking about the movie, the Green Lantern movie that was already out?
Yeah, that was already out with Ryan Reynolds.
Mark Guggenheim was a part of that?
Yeah, Mark Guggenheim.
Now, Mark Guggenheim, there's something he didn't say. What was the name? What was the title of the last episode of Arrow?
Fade Out.
No, there was another one. There was another title.
The last Fade Out was a Fade Out.
It was Fade Out?
I think it was Fade Out.
What about his biggest villain? He had
Deathstroke.
No, they had the villain.
Ra's al Ghul.
Oh my God.
The vigilante guy.
No,
Adrian.
he had
Okay, so we're going to be
Come
playing.
on,
we're going to play. What's the name of that game? We actually offer different names. So the point I was trying
the
to
Arrow for the Arrow series finale was titled "Who is John Byrne?"
Oh yes, I didn't want to say that.
he said fade out.
I saw that craziness and I'm like, who is John Byrne?
Now,
I don't know why he did that, and I'm not sure why.
Tell me, who is John? Since you saw the finale, who is John Byrne?
I don't know who John Byrne is.
Well, since he doesn't do that, Mark Guggenheim is, I guess, can now be called an associate. He was also on John Byrne's message board, and John Byrne and Mark Guggenheim connected. So when Mark Guggenheim was on Law and Order, he had the person who was killed. John Byrne. Right. Then he brought John Byrne there, and John Byrne took a pic on the slab with his shirt on, laid out.
That is true.
So obviously, when you first saw it, people thought it was a dig, like he was trying to take a shot at them. But it's like it's almost the equivalent.
That's why I forgot it. I thought it was a dig.
It's almost the equivalent of, I think, an artist, Joe Staten, who used to do things in E-Man. He used to do John Byrne got hit by a bus in E-Man, and at the same time, and he also did the spoof of Shooter, and he had Byrne there, and Byrne was like, they were saying, hey, Byrne, you got spoofed in destroyer duck. It's like, well, that one wasn't that good, but I did like in E-Man they had Company Man, which was Staten doing burn, and he had sniper instead of shooter.
So yes, it was burn. All right,
Yes.
all right. So it is. Okay. So
Thank
the
you.
point, the point of the matter is that the Arrowverse.
You could have helped me with this.
I wasn't going to help you with it. You know that.
Then you knew what it was, and you didn't say anything.
I saw it and I said, "What the hell are they doing?" But that's a whole nother issue.
So you knew it said fade out, and I knew it had to. I didn't have to go through all that.
So the point of the matter is that we have to give credit where credit is due. From Stephen Amell being the Green Arrow, in essence, the Batman of the Arrowverse, to the writers Guggenheim, Berlanti, and all those helping together. Now the crisis is basically a changing of the guard. You're having Arrow has now moved on to be the Spectre of the CW universe. I don't know how he's going to factor in. You also have the Canaries who are part of the.
So he can take. He doesn't have to be there all the time. He's a Spectre now.
I guess whenever they do a big thing, probably he'll be there. And then you also have.
But that's the thing. The Spectre, like if you see how the stories that Todd McFarlane did with Spawn, I think Cal was bringing it up. A lot of his stories, the Spectre could be his own series.
The Spectre is almost like a god level character, so it's not. I don't think it could. I mean,
the Spectre had a comic book.
Didn't last long.
But it was remembered, and like Neil Adams did some classic ones. It's like the Spectre is a.
I always thought the Spectre should have been involved in like the New Gods. You know what I'm trying to say? Something of that level of
Well,
power.
he's more of a mystical character.
Well, more mystical. That's true with Zatanna and her father and stuff like. Wasn't he? Wasn't? Well, look, we digress. The point I'm trying to say is that you have Diggle becoming the new, or they're developing Diggle to be the new Green Lantern because his name is John Stewart. That's his real name because he was adopted. And then you also have, or his father's real name. Then you have Black Lightning and
he just gives up the name that he had all his life for Diggle.
Yeah, so it is. So the point I'm trying to say is, and they're now introducing new characters like Stargirl. They're bringing in the
Stargirl. I want to check that out.
They're bringing in the Legion of Superheroes. Not the Legion of Superheroes. Well, they did that. They brought in the Legion of Superheroes.
When, for Crisis?
No, for Supergirl. They actually introduced them.
Did?
Yeah, they did.
I remember they had Monel.
Yeah, and a couple others. Saturn Girl and and Brainiac and but they also what's the name of that other Justice Society? The Justice Society is going to be coming up too. So it's interesting how they're bringing in all this stuff. So it's kudos to them. Also, Constantine. Constantine is pretty interesting character. Constantine
They won't let it go.
I know. Constantine had his own show. Was it NBC? Then he came into the Arrowverse. Then he went to Legends of Tomorrow, and
they won't let him go.
And who was the one who started it? Who was the one who did the movie one? That was Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves. Sorry, Keanu. I didn't mean to. Keanu.
So let's get on to the bigger stuff because they've already done like stuff like the CW's done Riverdale. They've done this, and now they're going to what? They're revitalizing
Kung Fu.
You okay with going into this now?
Let's bring it on, baby.
Now, Kung Fu is a series that was done in the 70s. People like to remember it as something that...
The early 70s.
Early 70s. But I'm saying, oh my God. There's no reason to correct me on that. So people like to say that it was inspired by Bruce Lee.
Wasn't he the one who was one of the writers?
They say that Bruce Lee was developing it, but I think ultimately the creator of it was looking at Bruce Lee. I think the idea was they might have wanted it, but it was like, I think it's converging ideas. But some people say that Bruce was developing it, some people say that he wasn't. But ultimately you can see the effect of the Gung Fu and like also.
We're calling it Kung Fu, not Gung Fu.
We can't say that because the other one we were in there, we had to say Gung Fu.
No, that's because of what's his name.
Then why don't you say something different then?
I thought about that and I said I'm never going to do that again. We're calling it Kung Fu.
Lord, I'm trying not to be corrected in the show, and I still got corrected in the show. So
you hear that, Cal? You can call it Gung Fu all you want. You know what I'm saying? But I don't speak Chinese. Excuse me. I don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese or Fujianese. I speak American English. And
we call it Kung Fu. But they're doing a Kung Fu TV show, right? And a new one. And ultimately, this was a big show for people. I think even Big Daddy Kane, that's how he got his name. He was a big fan of Kane from Kung Fu. Yeah. And ultimately...
what are your thoughts on it, Petey?
I don't know. I didn't get they didn't have reruns of that. Obviously, maybe they decided maybe we shouldn't be doing this with a white guy walking around as an Asian guy. So I never really get to see I don't remember the channels where they had that on because I didn't see them. So
I did watch it, and I was a huge fan of it when it was coming on. And but of course, as time goes on, the point is, yes, I was a huge fan.
You're saying it was like it had the emotion is there, but the whole karate, everything about
Kung Fu,
it.
karate is Japanese, Jesus. So I think that this is clearly DC once again is doing a quick grab. They're doing because we're having Shang-Chi coming up next year, right?
I don't think this. I think
it is. Then why would all of a sudden again? This is the same thing.
Because
all
it hasn't been done right. Because we
don't know. We haven't seen Shang-Chi, so we don't know if it hasn't been done right yet.
No, I'm saying that they did Iron Fist, a guy with a visual power, and they didn't get that right. So the market, and since most people say they shouldn't do it, but at the same time they're like, Mortal Kombat's coming back. They got Shang-Chi. Yeah, so why not do Kung Fu?
But Kung Fu is pretty distinct in that Kung Fu is a Western. You know what I'm trying to say? It's a Kung Fu master in the Western, basically, and you're dealing with in the West. I don't know if they're going to update it and make it more recent, and how he's going to know, or whether they're going to bring it back to the West, or hell, the rate they're doing, are they going to try to connect it to the IP?
Then this is in your wheelhouse. What do you say about it? Are you happy that they're redoing it?
Hey, I love that. Well, there's two thoughts. People are always complaining about, they don't come up with original stuff. Everything is being regurgitated once again, and we know the issue that these companies, they own these IP, and they're like, it's easier for them to just bring this back out instead of just doing something else. A good example is like the DC. Look at CW slate. You have Archie's back out, Charmed is back out. They had Dynasty at one point, so they're bringing all this stuff back. But
it's TV. I mean, that's the thing.
I think it's also good because they're bringing out. I think they'll probably be having more different demographics, and they're doing a good job of trying to have a more diverse character, different shows with different characters on it. Because we are America, and America is very diverse. There's different people's ideas and stories. So I'm all for that. If they do it, of course, respectfully. And number one, they have to have the Kung Fu down pat. It can't be what happened with Iron Fist.
Do you think that the action in
Iron Fist?
Arrow, from what they did in Arrow, could they do?
Arrow's, I'll tell you right now, and I think I pointed it out before, Arrow's martial arts was far better than the initial Iron Fist show when it came out,
So then you got it. We have it. They could probably do this well. Right?
That's it. That's I
mean, they don't have to stop there.
No, I don't think we need to disagree. We're not disagreeing on anything. It is what it is. The fact that it's what it's going to be. Right. One last thing before we go. Two things. One, they're having, now this is more with Marvel, with the Eternals. We have the Black Knight coming out, and we've touched base on this before. And they also have the New Mutant movie coming out. Both movies are with main characters who came from Game of Thrones, You
mean the actors?
The actors, yes. So the question is whether or not the curse exists or not.
There's no curse.
Okay, there's no
curse. The curse that the guy who was in Game of Thrones is in Aquaman, and Aquaman blew up.
Jason Momoa was already bigger than Game of Thrones when it came out. So don't you talk about Jason Momoa.
What did he do? What movie-wise?
He was in
his big movies?
He was pretty big in what's the name of that show? Stargate.
Come on now. So we saying the movie curse.
Wait. I'm just saying,
curse.
Are you?
You said a movie curse.
And the curse I'm talking about, the people who've done, they haven't he didn't do well in the first movie that came out with Pompey. The one who did Dark Phoenix didn't do well with that one either. Will this be different? And I'm thinking possibly it will. Being the Black Knight seems to be.
No, but wasn't Dark Phoenix? She was in the other X-Men movie,
which did okay.
Was panned, but at the same time it did well. Money, yeah. So it's not
right.
And then Marvel, also Disney, kind of torched it. If they call X-Men Dark Phoenix, it probably would have sold because people know the brand.
Or I don't know. I think
they buried it.
Phoenix is a pretty good one.
No, it's not. No one knows what the Phoenix is.
But I think they destroyed it when they changed the story up at the very last minute.
Yeah, there's a many death of 1,000
you're right.
cuts.
You know what? I take that back.
He's finally decided not to argue because he's trying to stay awake.
So continuing with the Black Knight. What's your take on the Black Knight and the Eternals? I mean, the story is basically
Black Knight is not.
They're trying to make it Kit Harington playing.
Black Knight is a ground level character. If you use him and you have things that you have to deal with. If you have him on the horse with wings, people see wings and they think of it being fragile, right? That's what the Angel was struggling with, where Jack Kirby didn't play it like that, but after Jack Kirby, everyone played Angel as fragile. So if you have this bird with wings, this horse with wings, will that be strong enough? Will he just be on a horse? Then once you put him on a horse, the idea is that, okay, Hawkeye can take him out, Black Widow could take him out, this, that, and the other. So then, are they going to up his power? They're going to do a thing where he can fight other people and he has super strength, even though he's just a guy with armor on. And the armor in the comical isn't even a big deal. It's just a sword that cuts through everything.
Yeah. So.
And you also have the Martin Riggs version of him, where he had the long hair, he's had the members only jacket, and he had the lightsaber. And it was like,
did you just say the members only jacket?
Yeah, there's an Avengers members only.
That's what it was, the members only. I didn't realize.
Avengers
it looked like
only.
it now that you said it. You know, you look at something for a long time, and you're like, you got that jacket. See, why did he put that jacket on him?
Yeah, it was like the whole team. Hercules had the members only jacket. So the Avengers members only. Well, so. Like
members only. God dog. Is it still around?
I don't know. But that's the thing. It's like, I think they can make him visually, but then you have to up him in a way so you're like, oh,
they're gonna have to if he's dealing with the Eternal level stuff. But then again, you have people.
I don't even know how that connects with the
because of his relationship with Cersei.
But that's the thing. That was some of the worst stuff ever. That was some of the worst comics when he was Martin Riggs.
Right.
He was the guy that all the girls liked. He was like a stiff. He was a guy who was displaced from time. He was trying to figure things out. He was in the Avengers, but he wasn't remembered that well. And when they took him out and he cut something alive and he stiffened up, his body stiffened up, he was totally forgotten. And I think, it didn't happen, but Byrne had a story where the Avengers, the timeline was going to get all screwed up. Remember timeline getting screwed up? And ultimately, Black Knight would be the only character that would be outside of it, because Thor put him outside of it because he was like stiff and there was no way to heal him. So with the timelines being messed up, things would catch up to where Dane was, and he would just fall out, and he would gather the heroes, and this would be a very powerful moment, which ultimately you kind of see happened in the Avengers Endgame with Ant-Man. Sort of the same thing, him sort of falling out the sky. So I'm not sure. I mean, there's done by Bob Harris and Steve Epting, and there was another artist that was involved. They had a thing where Cersei was connected to Dane, and they also had these wacky X-Men type characters, which was Proctor, and this other thing, which were like the evil versions of Cersei and that. And it's like that. Some of that stuff was not really my cup of tea. It was a bad period for the Avengers. Part of the reason why people were saying the Avengers weren't gonna be successful as a movie property. So,
well, we know Avengers was a second tier versus the X-Men.
It wasn't a second tier.
Yes, it was.
That's what we're going to deal with. We're going to deal with it next. Our next story is going to deal with that.
I'm going to tell you right now. I wasn't buying Avengers when it was X-Men. X-Men? Quite a few X-Men titles.
No, X-Men. The only thing was X-Men and Spider-Man.
X-Men, Spider-Man,
and
yeah.
At some point, Superman was big because the death of
DC,
Superman.
no, Batman was big.
Batman was successful.
Well.
It was okay.
So
it wasn't crazy.
Yeah, not like now where every title is a Batman, every other title is.
Yeah, Batman.
I mean, they really need to change DC and just call it BC, Batman Comics.
I mean, this period, it was big at this point, but at some point, even somewhere after that, it kind of went back down. But then, of course, it blew up again, so. I was looking for something here as far as editors, and of course, it's not. What's his name was gone? But Denny O'Neil was gone at that point. So ultimately, that's all the news we got, right? Any more news?
For the time being.
All right. Spin Rack out.